everyone, Matty231 here again with another video, another car video, obviously, as you'd expect. Not on the V12. The V12's just had new ABC shocks put in it at the back, and I'm just waiting on some new fender liners to come for it, and getting the exhaust back in. But we've just put a new starter motor in it, and just a few final touches after we did the rebuild, the 4-part series rebuild on my channel if you want to go watch that, which was a mission. But so far the car's actually running real well. There's the only post issue I've had with it is that there was coolant leaking from the front of the motor, and it was because I hadn't tightened up the clips on the hoses tight enough. So I just did that a week ago, and it hasn't dropped a drop of coolant since, so thank goodness for that. Everything else, there's very minor, there's like a little bit of weeping on the bottom of the pan, like extremely minor, so I'm not worrying about it. Everything's pretty much mint on that motor now, so that's good. So we'll jump into today the W210 E55, and we're going to do some work on that old girl, so let's get straight into it. So Tim, we haven't probably seen much of the E55 in the last year and a half or so. You'll see I did a 2-part series of restoring this car from when I bought it straight out of the box, and it was in pretty rough condition. She's come a long way since. Just a quick update of her. Spent quite a bit of time tidying her up, so she's got 260,000 Ks on the clock. Now I've managed to find, I can't remember if it was in the video series, go check it out, but I can't remember if I put this in the video series. We put nice new bird's eye maple trim that I found off a wrecking car here in New Zealand. We found this whole trim piece here, a new middle piece where this wasn't all tearing up and bubbly. It's got a little bit of bubbling there, but nothing too bad. We've put like new door controls in from Japan that I imported. Nice new lights up in here as well, and everything works obviously as it should. So interior wise, team, on this car, there's not a lot to do in this video obviously. One thing I am going to do very shortly though is order a new steering wheel, because this is the only part that makes this car look crap inside. Otherwise inside it's pretty darn good. So we're going to get a new steering wheel from the UAE, from United Arab Emirates, from a company there, and get rid of this old one here. Not get rid of it, but just pull it out, and I might see if I can get it refurbished. But what we are focusing on today is the boot. That's part one of this, is the boot. Right, so if you look here, we've got, it's just old and worn out. You know, these are all original. It's got a bit of paint there from when they obviously repainted the car. So these trims here, we're going to pull these off, replace them with brand new ones. Now these here are the little notches that the boot close on, and these should have rubber on them. But obviously they're so old, they just disintegrated and they've gone. Another thing, the boot sill here, this one's pretty munted up, pretty chewed up, you know, over the years. So we've ordered a brand new one of these. We've ordered brand new things here. We've got brand new these shields, or water cowling I think it is. And yeah, we're gonna rip all this out and replace that. And it might sound a little bit different when we close the hood. At the moment it sounds a bit metallic-y. Under the hood, team, we've got stuff to do as well. But here's some of the initial parts. So here's these nice brand new genuine covers for the trunk, and also got these this here, which is the little trim that goes inside the boot, the catch in the middle there. We've also got a leaking steering rack, so we're going to replace these 2 seals, these green seals here on the steering rack. We're just going to undo those and replace these seals with inside them. We've also got some new harnesses, but I think that's for my for the 211 there. I also bought a bunch of these that connect to the coils, and they can crack and break. So we've bought some brand new ones of these. They're actually a different style to what I remember. Maybe a new and improved superseded style of clip that doesn't break. And there's the little clips that hold these in, that go in these little holes here. So we've got some of those too. We've got a brand new Continental poly V-belt or fan belt. We've also got a brand new, open up the hood. We've also got a brand new fan clutch, which we'll be installing. Just there, fan clutch. We've got a brand new fan from Phoebe. He's hiding under there somewhere, I think. Oh no, there he is there. Brand new fan clutch, brand new belt. We might even do the tensioner as well. We'll see what condition that's in. We've got brand new pulley, and we have brand new head valve cover gaskets. Brand new valve cover gaskets. We'll pull all the valve covers off and replace the gaskets and clean everything up because it's pretty dirty inside. We've got a brand new one of these here. This one here is down the bottom there. It's obviously split at some point, so they've joined it together. And I think it splits because it interferes with the AC compressor pulley and it eats away at it. So we're going to give it a coolant flush. We're going to drop this hose out, replace it with a brand new, genuine Mercedes hose, which is actually this guy here, this big sucker. So got a brand new one of those ready to go. And we've also got a brand new cowl. So this cowling here wraps around the full radiator and front fans and directs the airflow basically to an extent. So we've got a brand new one of these assemblies. It's quite a big plastic piece coming. So we're going to rip all that out and replace that. And I think I've covered everything. Oh wait, no I haven't. We've also got, we're also going to get the AC working on this car. So the air conditioning's never worked on it since I've owned it. So we've ordered a brand new air dryer. Sorry, this video is dragging out already. A male air dryer. We've got that there. We've also got a goodie bag of specific parts, including some new AC hoses and a bunch of O-rings. So we're basically gonna sort of strip out some of the AC system and reseal it all before we take it in to get it re-gassed, and hopefully we can get the AC running in this girl, so that'll be awesome. Cool. Okay team, let's get stuck into it. We'll start with dismantling the boot. We're not replacing any of this, obviously, the actual carpet trim, but we've got the old, the sill, and as you can see here, it's collected a bit of rust from the back here. What I might do is just put a little bit of rust treatment on it. As you can see here, there was a little bit down here where my finger is, you can't see it, or where my camera is right now. I've just sort of cleaned that up a little bit and just sprayed a bit of rust remover primer there. So that's the original that goes in the bin. But overall, it's just, you know, it's just superficial surface rust, so that's good. Now, weirdly enough, team, I imagine these have leaked in the past. These have leaked before, because if you look, the guys put a someone in the previous ownership has put a like a postage or courier bag, one of the plastic ones we have here, over the top of these modules, including this one here, a little bit of clear plastic, assuming that it was leaking onto it at some point. Now, where it would leak, team, where you would find it leaking would be through the little rivets. Through there. I don't see any signs of anything obvious. There's a little bit of surface rust again on the joins between the the trunk sealing and the frame of the car, but nothing at all bad, you know. So obviously it's going to be good that we replace this. What we're doing at the moment, we'll replace all of this. But yeah, it's pretty empty in the back here. We'll remove the other side and pull that out. Basically, they're just held in by these clips here. There's always one at the top there, and then there's sometimes one around the side here, but it looks like this back part here doesn't actually really have one, to be honest. This one had two of them, and then there's a little hook that hooks over this part of the back wall there, which is this. So just make sure you lift it up before you pull it out. See? And then it just pulls out. Easy. Now, I might just take off this covering just to check everything underneath. There's a little bit of like surface corrosion and rust on it, but all the electrics work fine. You know, there's no issues apparent anywhere, so I'm not going to get too fussed about it. Everything up the back here looks good. Everything's nice and clean, nice and dry, nothing smells bad. So yeah, we'll remove this other side here, and then we'll start removing the rubber seal around the boot here, which could get interesting. I'm a little bit hesitant, to be honest, to remove this too much, because this is where you could find that any sort of surface rust or expansion sticks to the rubber trunk seal and can ultimately cause you to tear away parts of the paint or the coating on the sills. So we might not even have to remove the seal. I'd probably rather not, to be honest. We can just push these pins out and pull the whole trim out at once. Let's just do it right now. Let's try it. So I've got a little pick tool here. So these clips are they're a little bit different. There's a notch on the top that you push down, and it pops the rivet through the back. So that first one's popped out, Tim, and I've caught it underneath it. It's popped out. So see here, you just push on that, and it then goes through the hole and then falls out the bottom here. So I just catch it underneath, and then I can use my finger to push the rivet up from the bottom to pull it out. Cool. So this basically goes in there like that. Now, in my W211, there's a newer style of rivet, so it's not like this. This one's a bit dumb, really, because when you push through, if you don't take this rear trim out, it's just going to fall into the back there, and you're not going to be able to find it again. So hence why you need to take the trim out. But there is a newer version. I wonder if they're more waterproof, possibly. But then again, I've also just bought brand new ones of these, so they haven't fully like phased them out as such. So just see how you go. So team, will take this last one out. They're all out now. So we should be able to just gently sort of pry this trim up and off. Zoom the camera a little bit so you can just see better. So it comes up like this. Oh, yeah, nice and easy. Simple as that. Cool, so that's our old part. I feel like this is possibly original, but it might have been replaced because this lip here is, oh yeah, it's a little bit broken there. It's actually in pretty good condition overall, this piece. It's just a bit weathered and discoloured, and they're cheap enough to replace as well. What's the date stamp on it say? Just see the date stamp there, we've got 98 and then the month. So it is the original piece here. So we're going to get rid of that and get our new one. Now thankfully under here it's actually nice and clean and dry. It's not too damaged, or there's no rust or anything. You can see where water's sat here and it's a bit mouldy. So I might just spray a bit of solution on here, and we'll use some brushes to just clean this all up so that we can get it pretty much like you know, like the paint here, nice and new. First we'll remove this other side as well, and then yeah, we'll get into giving it a bit of a clean up before we put our new ones in. So Tim, we've pulled this one off, as you can see here, and here's a perfect example of what you gotta be careful of. So this clip, you can see it's separated, so it loses its full sealing potential because the pin that goes in there doesn't push the casing out to create a full seal. So this one just crumbled to bits. Some of them are fine, but that's where you obviously then get water starting to leak through these holes here on the side. So again, we'll give it a clean up now and reinstall our new covers alongside our new boot stops. So we'll pull these out, which are just held in at the back with a 10mm socket. So we'll just unscrew, pull those out, throw them away, put our brand new ones in, and continue on. Just agitate it a little bit, just so we can get most of it out before we start wiping it and using cleaners and stuff. There's also a lot of gunk down there we're going to vacuum up as well, get it all nice and tidy. Cool. Now we'll grab the vac again. So folks, within 5 minutes of just nice soft cleaning, it looks brand new. There was a whole lot of dirt build up in these grooves here. Actually, look at the other side here, see all of this? Yuck. And look at this. Beautiful. I believe it is, it'll be this side here. Now I've ordered this, so our new cowling for the right hand side, and its tape's going to leave a lovely mark, so we're going to have to clean that off. What we'll do is we'll grab team our little wedge. There's just some there we go, perfect. Just like that. Now, masking tape. I think I didn't, so I put this in here to mark where the current one went, but in retrospect, I think I'm just going to realign everything anyway, because the boot wasn't properly aligned to begin with. So we've got our clips here, team. Brand new, genuine Mercedes clips. So all you have to do is literally just slot them in, and then push the little tab down like that until it's flush. Just be careful you don't push them too hard to the point where they actually go back through. Perfect. Done. Easiest job ever. So with the label remover, we'll just, probably can't see it on camera. The label remover I use, team, is just a natural orange-like citrus thingy. So it's no special chemical. And yeah, you just rub it off like that. Easy peasy. Done. Get rid of the excess. Cool, perfect. a bit of this stuff on here, team. Just work its way around. Perfect. Wipe the excess off. Look at that, team. Beautiful new seal. Makes it look a lot nicer. Now we'll put our little clip in. So if you see here on this new unit, this is what it should look like. It's got this little clip on the back. This is the old one. So it's basically missing the rubber. It's just a metal rock at this stage. So it's got a full plastic clip around it, and that just fits in there like that. So it gives you a proper mounting point for the boot to sort of latch into. That part's very affordable. It's like 10 to 15 US dollars or something. Little 10mm screw that I mentioned before. Screw that back in, and away we go. Right, team, working to the front of the car. We'll finish the back off once we've got the parts here, hopefully in a few days. Disconnect the washer level sensor. I thought I had a little flat thing for this. I've actually got a spare one from the wreckers that we might use. But what we're going to do is empty this out. So this just slides off the top here a little too easily. And then there's a collection of hoses down the bottom here. So we obviously want to drain these out. So we'll probably just end up pulling that one off there. I'm saying that it still goes down quite a little way, so we might just suck it all out with a suction hand suction pump. But yeah, we'll undo that nut, pull that out, suck all the water out, pull these out, and this will give us access to the better access to the air dryer, which is that new air conditioning part we bought. And it'll just give us room as well, because in this video we're also going to do the power steering pump. You can see the little air for the power steering tank. The little ear is broken off, so half of it's missing. So yeah, let's just start by taking all these bits off. Crikey, where are we going to pull these parts? Might put them on the roof of the car. Put them on the roof up here with a blanket underneath. So we'll do that and continue disassembly. Remove the washer tank. It's a little bit of a bastard to get these hoses off, so they're just like, this one's for the headlight washers, so you need like a little pair of pliers, and you need to just pinch these and pull them back. But these hoses are quite old, so they're not brittle, but they're still quite hard, so you've just got to sort of gently pry them back so you can get them off. In my case, I just ended up lifting this piece here. Goes into the bottom of the washer tank, so you sort of lift it out and pull it out with the hose still attached here. So if you look here, that's the tank, there's the top. These just fit into these little rubber couplings like that. So what I've done is I've just basically lifted it up and pulled them out, and that way I've been able to get full access to the to just lift this whole tank out of the little base plate. And yeah, so I already took this out and cleaned it about a year or so ago, so we'll clean it again, and I'll also replace this time this brittle plastic pipe with a bit of brand new clear pipe as well. And yes, we'll take a sample of that to the shop, see if we can get some new pipe. I put a brand new O-ring, just a aftermarket random O-ring on there because the original one was pretty shot. And there's our other motor there, and there's our little 10mm that holds it onto the fender or wheel well. I probably will bag these soon, but that's fine for now. Now there's our AC air dryer, and it's got I think it's a pressure sensor and a temperature sensor from memory. I might be wrong, but I know there's definitely a pressure sensor, so that needs to come off. Don't know how to pull that off yet. And there's one also at the back there behind it that just plugs into it as well. And then there's obviously two mounting brackets down there, and I think that's all there is. If we look at our new one, our brand new Mull OEM one, yeah, there's that one hose there at the side. There's the other one in here. We've got to put our new pressure sensor on from memory. So yeah, that's not too bad. So we'll get that set up, pull that old one out. We just need to remove, obviously, as well the lower AC line going to it. So we'll unplug what we can up here, and then we will, once the car's up in the air, remove and fully take out the whole thing. Also, now got full access to the power steering tank here, so we'll get into that, pull that out. But actually, the pump on this car is very clean. Like very clean. Like usually, if you look at like any of the other 112, 113 era cars I've worked on, they've always got a lot of oil build up at the back there. So either this pump's been replaced or it's very lucky. Because I'm sure this is the original tank. It's got the original part number on it. It's not an OEM. It's the genuine one, and it's also got that broken little lip there, so it must be the original. And just even by looking inside, you can tell how old they are, because the brand new tanks, see, it's quite yellowed plastic. It's not actually too bad, but you know, the brand new ones are white. They're like fully white inside. Maybe this one has been replaced at some point, but anyway, let's continue. So Tim, we've got the 55 on the hoist now, which is good. Looking glamorous. We've got the S600 outside sitting on its own feet again. So we've got brand new rear ABC suspension in that car. Not brand new, sorry, remanufactured from ABC specialists who supplied me with my front shocks as well. Again, I'm not super happy with the quality of product from them in terms of rebuild, but they so far seem to be working. I haven't driven the car yet, so. But yeah, just the communication's been pretty crap. That's abcspecialist.nl, but like I might have said in the video at the V12, the fronts are working perfect, so hey, the product still works. It's just the communication and the customer service side and just a bit of the rebuild quality I'm not really happy with. But anyway, back to the 55. These, team, are hard to come by. You'll remember, if you've watched part 1 and 2 of the 210 series, these two little covers here, one of them was missing. I think it was this one here with the little temperature gauge in it. I spent literally like a year trying to find one. There was some in Japan that were horrendously expensive. There was some online in like Eastern Europe that when I got to inquire for them, they were already sold. And then I managed to find these ones in the US from someone I know here, referred me to them. Again, they were actually a pretty terrible company to work with as well. I won't name them because I don't even think they're around, to be honest. The guy was, yeah. I got them eventually, so that's the main thing. So I'm grateful for that. But just it took me like 3 or 4 months after I paid for them to get them. So very frustrating. And I didn't actually think I was going to get them, and I did in the end, so thank God for that. Anyway, so the car is looking pretty complete now, which is good. But what we're going to do in this part of the video now is, got our boot trim here. We're going to leave this for now until we get our final one here and our new sill. Looks good though. What we're going to do now though is lift the car up, and basically the steering rack is leaking, so we'll show you that in a second. And we're just going to do that for now. We're also going to plug the computer in and just see what the AC system's doing. I want to make sure it's empty before we start pulling it apart, because it's obviously got refrigerant in it, so we don't want that leaking, or to be playing with it if it's got stuff in it still. So we're going to plug the scanner in and scan her and see what she says in regards to the AC system before we continue. Right, team, so we've got the fault scanner plugged in. Now this uses a 38-pin like multiplexer or something up the top there that you can buy from, if you have this unit or Foxwell, you can buy it from them. It's an extra piece. It's not a standard OBD2. I believe the facelift W210s are. Now the engine says no faults found, so that's a miracle. I don't know why there's no faults, but I'll take it. Obviously good maintenance on my part, or on our part. So if we just go back though to transmission, we'll just scan that again. I haven't checked this car in a while, only because it's a bastard to set up. Read the codes. I think this does have a few issues on it. I think what we will do one day, if we've still got it, is just replace the conductor plate. But again, it drives totally fine. You know, there's no real issues with it. Okay, so we've got some stored faults here. Excessive speed of one of the speed sensors. Again, that's relating to the conductor plate. Component M153, the ETC EGS control unit is faulty. So that's saying that the actual TCU computer is faulty. That's interesting. Component modulating one of the solenoids sporadically faulty. It's always actually had this issue. I remember seeing this when I first scanned it. Starter lockout contact, or the lead occasionally has a short circuit. That's interesting. I wonder what that means. Anyone here want to answer that? Battery disturbed. Control unit, that's probably battery related. So yeah, it's just those. I think the conductor plate will help quite a lot, and maybe if the TCU is faulty, then maybe a new TCU, new transmission computer. But anyway, we're here for the AC. Hopefully this works, because this car is a Japanese car with a random head unit that no other cars in the global market have, so I assume it's still fundamentally the same. As I say that, the little fans have revved up. They sound good. Read codes. There's not many options for us on this setup. There's only read codes really, so hopefully it gives us something. Hopefully we don't run out of battery before we get the result of all these fans running. Oh, okay. Interesting. Current installed. Refrigerant pressure sensor. Okay, so that tells us that there's no system in there. Stored in current refrigerant temperature sensor. I feel and I hope that that sensor is the one I've bought that goes on the air dryer. So that should actually fix that. If I'm correct, I might be totally wrong, but I think it's on there. We'll just after this, I'm gonna watch this video and just Google it. We'll just see what that is. Part B12-1, the electromagnetic clutch. That's the coolant circulation pump stored. So again, I feel those would possibly be power related, battery related, just being unplugged at the wrong time. In saying that, team, these are actually, now that I think about it, using my brain for a second, I have unplugged these. You would have, I think I videoed it, but on the Air Drier we did unplug the temperature sensor and the pressure sensor. So yes, those are stored in current because they are currently unplugged. Now the stored sun sensor, again, it's a stored fault, so we wouldn't replace the part just yet, but if these were stored and current, then you know something else is wrong. So actually, all in all, it's not too bad. Pressure sensor, so we've got no coolant pressure, so that's good. Sorry, no refrigerant pressure, so that's good, so we can undo the lines and not leak out a whole lot of poisonous bloody refrigerant into the atmosphere. So we'll continue on now, team, and get that done. Right, team, so the car's up in the air. We've removed one of the hoses here off the dryer. So the hose that goes from here into here we've removed. I'll actually just get a plug for it, just so no foreign debris gets into it. But what we're also going to do right now is, with our power steering system, we want to replace obviously the leaky O-rings on it. It should just go in there like that, hopefully. Alright. Alright, that'll do for now. We've got leaky O-rings up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this bracket here that holds the steering rack in place, because at the moment I can't actually get to this one. This torque screw I can't get to because the transmission and the engine bell housing are in the way. So we'll just chuck a support under here and drop this down so we can lower it enough to get to it. The only other thing we'll probably have to do is end up unscrewing the steering U-joint from the steering wheel. So we'll get into that now. So as soon as I start loosening these off, team, you'll see they start leaking pretty crazy. But because we are actually going to end up, because we are going to end up, because we are going to end up replacing the power steering tank, we may as well just flush the whole system with brand new fluid. So yeah, it's nearly there. I think we're just going to drain it, team, because I'm not going to be able to change them and stop them in the nick of time. So we'll just let these drain out and continue. So yeah, we'll drain this out. We'll switch back over to once we've installed the new O-rings. So Tim, we've put these back in, these big nuts, these big steering dampener bolts, and we're going to torque them down to 40 newton meters or 30 foot-pounds basically, and then we should see them stop leaking, hopefully. So let's just do that now.
is the old O-rings, guys. They're not bad, they're just flat. They've just been sort of pancaked out. I can't see any like obvious cracking. I think they're just a bit flat, team. They're just a bit flat, and they finally sort of gave out and started to leak. So they're not terrible, but they're definitely not brand new either. You know, they're 20-something years old. So we'll chuck them down there with our other old parts and move on to the AC system. So let's continue. Right, guys. So the lowered the car back down. It's the day later. We've got to still keep working on pulling out the air dryer here, which we can see right here. Just got to take this last hose off, and we've unplugged the pressure and the temperature sensor, so we can just then pull off the last two little clips and pull the whole unit out. Little 8mm clips. I think there's one on the other side over here as well. In the meantime, though, we've had 2 parcels arrive from FCP Euro. These guys are great because the shipping was very affordable to New Zealand for these parts, and these are big boxes, and it was like $30 shipping, which they might have underestimated possibly, but regardless, thanks to them for organising these parts for me at an affordable shipping cost, because we pay a lot here in New Zealand. For example, the coil I bought for my M275, which by the way is the wrong coil. They sent me a used one off a 2004 car. I'll tell you about that later, but aside from that, that was $160 to ship that. And then these 2 boxes here were literally like $30 US. Like this one's nearly as tall as my shoulder. Go figure. So this is, I'm not sure what this is. Oh, of course, sorry. Yeah. Duh. This is our rear and brand new, genuine rear silk. Look at that. Gorgeous. Yeah, don't break it, mate. You just got it. Look at that. That is beautiful. This piece was manufactured in 2021, so it's only a couple of years old. Off the floor. Oh, look at that. It's got like the original manufacturer's date stamp plate on it that goes from 94 to 2001. But this part, unless this part is from 2001, but I doubt it, because the box that it came in says 2021 on it. Yeah, 23rd of March 21. So unless they just keep a stock of these maybe, and they don't pull them out until later. So we're just cleaning out the, we're just going to blow out the trims first, but then this is going to slot straight into here beautifully, and complete the rear deck. Cool. And then we've got some other parts as well. Again, skip past this if you're bored of me just yapping on about this sort of stuff. You can skip to the next section, but this last box, there's still one box missing apparently. What do we got? Okay, we've got our genuine 2018, our genuine front cover. So this car's had literally no paneling for years, and I can't find any in New Zealand. No one literally has any or wants to sell me any used ones. And for $130 US, I got this brand new genuine one, which is nice. Pull it out. Oh, interesting. It's got like a rubber seal on it. Huh, okay. Let's have a look at that. Put that down there, team. I'll just check nothing else is in these boxes. I don't think so. We'll just empty it out. I'll come back on the camera shortly. So team, here's the under tray. It's actually a very well built, sturdy tray. It's got this crazy like rubber seal around the whole edge of it that's got rivets on it. And then we've got these little covers. I don't know if you can really undo them and open them up. So before we do anything else at the back, team, we will just take this air dryer out, finish taking this out. So we'll just unclip this last AC hose. These two 8mm bolts, fixing it to the frame rails. And then we'll be able to drop or lift it out. It'll be one or the other. And then we can install our brand new one. So let's do that now. So then we remove the old air dryer out of the base here. It's made up of a pressure sensor, which I believe is this piece, and then we've got a temperature sensor. From what I've read, holds a lot of refrigerant. It's got like a pretty butchered old O-ring lodged in there that you can probably see. It's a bit worse for wear. Same with this one here. We've got new O-rings, team, and we've got these here. I think this might be the ones even, but they're a different colour, they're like black. I thought they might have been green as well, but they're black. And then we've got some random purple ones as well. I don't know exactly where they go, I'll have to look up again. But yeah, see, there's our new pressure sensor. That's our OEM part. And we've got a genuine temperature sensor. And we'll attach that to our new unit here and reinstall that soon. But first what we're going to do, because I have to get this car off the hoist for tomorrow morning, because I'm getting my hoist inspected. It's yearly inspection. So for the time being, we've obviously just replaced these seals here, which was actually a few days ago now. As you can see, they're not leaking, thank goodness. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the system again, and also replace the power steering fluid tank first. So we're going to do that right now, and then bleed the system, bleed the power steering, so we can take the car off the hoist temporarily tomorrow, before we then get back into finishing off the AC system and a few other bits and pieces. I have had my other package arrive as well, which has the new shroud, so we'll pull out and have a look at that as well after we've done the steering tank. Let's go. So team, we've got our power steering tank here, nice and simple to access once you get some of the stuff out of the way. We've got our return line here, and then just below it down here we've got our feed in from the tank. So we just need a little tool to pull this little clip out here. You can see it right by my finger there, a little clip. So I think I just normally use like a tool like this, just a little hook, and there's a little tongue on it where you can hook behind, and I'm looking at the camera doing that. There's a little, yeah, there it is. There's like a little pin or a little retaining clip, here we go, that you can pull out. There we go. That holds the tank onto the inlet of the power steering pump. So we'll take that off. Now we just want to make sure we don't lose those, so I'm going to chuck them in a bag. I've already lost one of them. Where's the other one? Gotta make sure, guys, I keep track of all your parts. There should be two. There's the other one. We'll chuck those in a baggie in a sec. So we've got our new power steering pump up here, our power steering tank, sorry. The Euro part, that's my latest one, so I'll grab the oldest one first. Yeah. Power steering pump for 99 beans, yep. It doesn't matter, they're all the same. And also a OEM O-ring as well. So I'll put that one back there, so we've got that ready. So I always just have a few of these on hand, team, at my in my workshop. But you only need one. Tools, we've got our new power steering tank. Again, same concept. Inlet at the bottom, and then return line up the top here. So we'll take this out of the bag, but first let's just clear the desk here and start by sucking the fluid out, undoing this line here and undoing this bolt, and then we can pull towards the front of the car, the whole tank out. Just put some, just make sure you put a bit of stuff under here just to catch any spillage, because there will be a little bit. So team, the power tank, steering tank's out nice and easy. Now, because we did the lower, because we went and replaced the lower steering rack seals, we obviously leaked out quite a lot of fluid during that period. So it ended up being that I didn't even have to really suck anything out of this. And there's very little left there in the inlet tube, so that is flipping awesome. So pretty much I can take that straight away, and everything's already pretty much ready to go. I feel like this is definitely a new pump. It just looks way too clean to me compared to the rest of the car. So I imagine this was replaced at some point with an OEM pump. So that's fine. What we'll do, this seal on here is probably actually fine as well, but it's cheap enough to replace. So we'll just replace that old seal. Now, from what I remember, and I can't verify it on the WIS, but basically, when I did the E55 my 211, I put the new seal on here first and then installed the tank. But you actually install the seal in the tank, and then you press the tank onto the snout here of the power steering pump. And at the same time, while you do that, there's a little alignment here that's actually, no, there it is, yeah. So you see this channel here that coincides with this, so it slides along that. So we've got these caps, we'll take them off. Now, we just want everything to be clean, team, so you need to get a microfiber and just wipe that. You should really have that hole covered up, but, you know, this won't take long. What I might do is just cover it up quickly and just brake clean this piece here, just tidy a bit of this up, and then we'll push our new one on once we have installed the new seal. And just put a little bit of Vaseline or something just lightly on here just to lube it up, to slot it into here. Then we'll press it back into place. So team, you would have seen me sort of, yeah, I'm supposed to just put the bloody the power steering tank back in, but while it's a very pain in the ass to get the actual tank on the little snout here, this one obviously has lost alignment, so it definitely is a new pump. We can categorically say that. The issue is the mounting hole here doesn't align with the new tank. So the new tank, the hole's slightly lower, so it's probably between the hole and the edge of this case. So it means I can't mount the steering tank to the system properly. So I'm feeling like this power steering pump, you can probably see it on video even, it's just slightly kinked back a little bit. I'm just wondering if the alignment's not right. So I'm going to try and loosen up the mounting bolts on it and maybe try change the alignment of it slightly. And saying that, it would have to be pretty spot on to ensure that, you know, when it's spinning, the belt doesn't sort of fatigue from being on a slightly offset pulley. But I think it needs to come out this side, just slightly out this way, a bit like 1/2 mil or something. So we'll probably end up removing the tensioner to get to those bolts. And now I've also thought we will replace the water pump, because it's quite it's got quite a bit of play in it, and it sounds like a rubber band's in behind it or something, don't know why. But because we're replacing this anyway, we may as well just replace that too. The water pumps are though a little bit pricey, so that's going to be exciting. So we'll order one of those, team, and yeah, I don't know, wait another week I guess for the parts. Now just be careful when you play around with the radiator here. Now this is all my fault. You'll see here I've made a few dings. They look a little worse on camera than they are, but just be careful when you're you're flicking tools around, you don't smack anything too hard so you don't break your radiator, because this is a new radiator that we installed only a couple of years ago, if that. So for now the car's fine, I can drive it. I've disconnected the belt, so we've got no power steering. We've got no water cooling either though, so just to get it out of the shed while I get it inspected, it'll be fine for now. Cool, so we'll continue, team. I'm just going to order some parts and we'll come straight back into it and get into most likely just further disassembling this front end a little bit, and we'll start dropping the coolant out and getting ready to flush and replace our coolant with our new hose as well. We'll replace this hose here, and also this mangled clip. We'll put a nice new clip like this on here instead. Right, finally figured it out. So I've put this nice new seal in here. I thought it went on top, which is obviously stupid because it wouldn't, but it goes underneath. So we just obviously lifted this piece up again. Thankfully, didn't have to take the whole bloody thing off and fit that in. But yeah, everything looks team beautiful now. So it's all nice brand new trims. Nice fit and finish. Also behind here, the this boot trim has like little clips that basically hold this in place, whereas on the old one these had snapped off, so these were just flapping around in the back here, but now they're all locked in place nicely. We've got off a wrecking car, we've got a little hook there that was missing. We've got our other hook there. This actually I pulled off a car back when I bought this project, because this was broken off and it was just this, so that's all there. We've given the boot a nice, just a quick clean, not a full detail or anything, team, but just nice quick clean up. Cleaned the jack, mounted it properly. Looks like there's a little bracket on this trim. There's a little bracket there for it to mount on. There's also a little rivet that holds the bottom in there. But yeah, all this is nice and proper now, so that's good. Now here's the all-important boot closing test. Hopefully it closes. Nice. Perfect. Excellent. Good. Perfect. That's just what I want. It sounds a bit nicer as well now when it opens. And I think it opens a bit. Actually, that is true. I don't know if it's because I wonder if this, see this here, team, I wonder if this creates a bit of pressure when it's compressed, because my boot never used to open this well. It would always just go ting and just sort of sit there and slowly come up. Now watch this, now we do it. Way better.
So maybe that's what that serves. I thought that might be like a sound dampening thing when you close it, but it still sounds like quite like solid clicky sound as you'd sort of like from a Mercedes when you close it. But yeah, when you undo it now, opens nicely. Now obviously there's the springs each side that you can change to control the tension on this. But yeah, those have worked well. We've also gone ahead and, where's my torch? We've also gone ahead and swapped out. So these cars come with these sorts of clips from the factory. So you can see here, this has all its clips in place because I replaced some of them. I still don't know if there's covers. There must be covers for these I can buy somewhere. I'm sure they wouldn't have left them like that out of the box. There's also some dirt there too we need to tidy up. But all of these ones here, these ones up here were slightly different rivets. So I've swapped them all to be uniform. I've got about 40 or 50 of these here. If you guys need any of these clips, I actually have quite a lot of them that I sell locally here in New Zealand, but I'm happy to ship them overseas. For a small charge if you'd like some. Got quite a few good spares lying around. But yeah, that's good. So let's continue and move on to the front again. I'm glad to have that boot back together and out of the way. We've got our new temperature sensor installed and our new pressure sensor up the top here. So we just had to take off the little dust caps with our wrench. Then we've used this special sort of gasket sealer for AC systems, and just to lube them up before we installed them and tighten them up. So now this new dryer is ready to go in. I think the only thing we need to do is just put some new O-rings into it, into the seats, and then we can install the dryer back into the car here, into this little space down here. So what we're going to do is do that now. We're just going to get the car back on the hoist and lift it up a bit just to make it a bit easier on the old back. Right team, as part of this process we're also going to replace the valve cover gaskets, because they're pretty, the valve covers are pretty dirty and filthy, they don't look that good, and also I think we have a little bit of leakage from some of them, so we're going to just remove them and clean them up for the sake of it. I don't know what all that is down there. It's like something's melted or something splattered everywhere at some point, because it's all, it's like all sticky. It's not actual like oil or anything, it's something else. And underneath our filter, all our breathers are pretty cooked as well. So we want to basically get our breathers replaced too, which are these hoses here. So this is like literally like rock hard. It should be soft. This rock hard. So we're going to basically now team pull the ignition coils off, and then we're going to probably have to break off these old breather hoses
remove the mass airflow sensor at the back there and take these valve covers off and move them out of the way so we can reseal the valve covers and put new breathers in. I'm also keen to see what condition the engine's like under these valve covers. Is it going to be varnished? Is it going to be sludgy? Is it going to be clean? It should be clean. I've had it for a few years now, but yeah, you never know. Let's dig into this now, start pulling it apart. Right guys, that was nice and easy for once. It wasn't too much of a struggle to get these bloody coils out. Probably because these coils are ones from my 211 E55. So the I guess the son of this generation, so the next generation up. I put brand new Bremmy OEM coils on that car about a month or two ago. So I put the hand-me-down coils onto this one. Even though, to be honest, all the coils and leads were fine, I just gave it a little birthday and I'll just sell the old coils from this car as spares if anyone ever needs them. So what we're going to do, team, is just keep dismantling the system here. Just cover up the intake there. So here's our breathers. We've got this one here on bank 1, then we've got 2 on bank 2 that it attaches down here, a big sucker, and then another one that goes around here, I think, further down. Oh, sorry, yeah, one there and one there. So what I've done in the past, because I did this on the C55 AMG, I had the wagon, the very rare wagon that you'll see on my channel if you look it up. But I had to cut with like a Stanley knife, cut through some of these because they were just too hard to get off. This one looks okay. I can probably wiggle it off with one of my little tools. And then there's a little three-way sort of valve, well not valve but junction that sits into the throttle body. So and then you've got this vacuum line here, which I actually don't know what this line does. Sorry, it's the Evap line actually. So I've just pulled that out there, it goes in there, and then you can lift this whole junction here off the top of the throttle body snout. Then you can remove it. So we'll just try and jimmy these off. I'll probably have to cut those other ones, pull that out, then that'll give us the ability then to simply undo all of these valve cover gasket bolts. See, look at this. What the hell is all this? It's horrible. And down in here, team, look at it. Filthy. What I was actually going to do, and I forgot about this, but we may as well while we're in here, I was going to remove all of the fuel injectors and put new seals on them and just clean them all, because like some of these are caked up real bad, including the harnesses and everything. I don't know why. I don't know if this is something from the intake or if someone spilt something in here or if it's just oil, but I don't know what it is, to be honest. It's confusing. One thing I would like to do is replace this intake with a brand new one, but they're $1,000 and this isn't really a car that I absolutely love enough to invest that sort of money in on top of what I've already spent on it, which is quite a lot. So we'll just make do with what we've got. But yeah, let's continue. So guys, I've pulled all the hoses off. So at the back of the motor here, we've got our intake snout that comes up, and then we put our MAF on top. So this here sits in the back of the motor like that, and then this faces up into the sky. The MAF sits on top, and we've got one of the breather hoses there that comes off of it. And that breather hose wraps around underneath all the brake booster and Evap circuits to here, so through the little gaps here. Also our other breather comes up here, but this connects via the little hole, the snout I was talking, fudge. Okay, we've got to be careful about that. You'll see that the base of it is still wedged there. That shouldn't be there, it should just be straight metal. So we need to see if we can pull that out, and we've got to be careful, team, because that there, through that hole, is the direct access into the intake manifold. So we want to make sure that nothing falls into that hole there, because any plastic bits and pieces could end up in the cylinders. So we'll pull that out, and then we'll put a camera down there, or I might just take the actual throttle body, the throttle controller there off the actual intake, just to inspect it, but it should be fine. But we don't want to take any risks. So we've got our three-way connection on there that basically takes this side's breather here and also that side's breather there into a three-way thing with the purge control. I think it's the Evap, where it adds the any unburnt emissions back into the wait, I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking of the help me out here, guys. What the hell is it called? Can't remember. I think this is the evaporation from the fuel tank. Any extra fumes go into here, so they're not ejected into the atmosphere. So those are the hoses there that I've just cut with some pliers, guys. It's just like it's just gonna take ages to pull them off by hand, and they're literally like listen to that. It's hard like plastic. That one's okay, but then like this one here, it's my AirPods. It's brittle, like that's the definition of brittle plastic. So we've got our new ones here, team, on the part shelf. Squishy, soft rubber, perfect. Hey. So we've got the the rail out, team. Everything's like pretty badly like gunked up. Oh, look at this. This one's cleaner. This one's filthy. This one's filthy. These are all filthy, and their seals are all filthy as well. Bit hard to focus on the camera here. The camera focuses. Yeah, you can see it anyway. You get the gist of it. Like, it's pretty bloody bad. All of them are pretty flippin' gunked. All the tops as well are quite they're not blocked or filthy, but they are dirty. You can tell that sort of dark ring around them. Whereas if we recall the V12, you know, obviously this car's 9 years older than the V12 and done another 80,000 kilometers, but the injectors on the V12 were a lot cleaner than this car. So what we'll do is we'll pull these off. These are all original Bosch injectors from what I can tell. What we'll do is we'll pull off these injectors, team, by leveraging, I'm trying to remember now, by, I believe you just sort of pull the clip back with your finger, well, not your fingers really, use a tool. Or you can use a tool behind here. I think I might use a tool behind here just to pull them off. just to get them off of that that ring there, and then you can basically pull them out. Oh man, these are stuck in there. Oh my god. So we're going to pull these out and put new O-rings on them, clean them up fully so they're like new, clean the full fuel rail so it's like sparkling new again, and reinstall it. I will also try and run some throttle body cleaner through them and just see if we can clean up the insides of these a little bit, just in case they aren't performing their best. Yeah, let's pull them out, team, on camera, on time lapse. This is turning out to be a bigger video than I was expecting. I thought we were just going to do a real quick little few parts here, little few things to fix on the E55, but it's turning out to be quite a mush. We've got the bloody fuel injectors out like this, eh? So if we look at all of the main O-rings that were in the actual block, or in the head, and the intake manifold, they are all like, they've all ripped. They're all real crusty and they're buggered. They're like sort of hard, and they're hard like the breather hoses were. The ones that were in the fuel rail weren't too bad. They're actually, you could possibly use them again. I personally wouldn't, but they feel and look still sort of fine. They're not cracking, whereas all these other ones have cracked real badly. The injectors themselves, as I say, you can just see a bit of varnishing and dirt in the end there. So I made this little adapter here that goes like this, and you basically plug the end of the injector, possibly with an O-ring on it again, into here, and then you can pump throttle body cleaner through here, while at the same time, damn, that's what I should have done, bugger. I should have bought an adapter. I should have, from the wreckers, nicked a paid for stolen one of the harnesses off the fuel rails off one of the cars. I was there last week getting parts for parts off a 220 S-Class. I should have actually cut one of the harnesses off, because then we could wire up a battery and a little push switch so I can tip and make the injector spray out on the fly rather than having to touch a terminal. So what we'll do is, we've got the throttle body cleaner here, and I do have an adapter for it I already made. Yeah, this one here. So this goes on here. This goes into the sprayer. Yeah, okay. I've got the wrong tube. I need to cut another piece of this off. I've got another bit of this left. This goes in one end, that goes in the other end. Then we can spray throttle body cleaner into there, and at the same time, using a electrical setup, fire stuff through the injector under pressure. Just a little bit of pressure, obviously. We're not emulating a full fuel rail. Say that 10 times. So yeah, that's cool. So let's hook this up, team, and clean these injectors out. So Tim, we've done the cleaning. So I put together this little tool a while ago. It's a little bit crappy, it doesn't really work too well. It does the job, but it's just a bit flimsy. You need both hands, and as you can see in the video I just did. Yeah, we've basically gone through and cleaned all the injectors. So they're looking pretty good for, you know, God knows how old they are, 25 years old nearly. They all produced a good stream, pardon the pun,
Wait, no, that's not a pun. You know what I mean though. They all had a good stream. This one had a bit of a weak stream, so I've marked it with some blue pen, but I gave it just a second round of throttle body cleaner and it started to clear up. It just didn't have much flow, so that hopefully that might contribute to improving the idling of this car, because sometimes it idles a bit funny and I just wonder if maybe these are gunked up a little bit. But as you can see here, this is what came out of them all. You probably can't see much in there, but there is, yeah, if you look at the bottom there, that's all the sediment that came out of the throttle body cleaner. And the throttle body cleaner is a clear spray, and you can see it's quite yellowed. It looks a bit like pee, bad pee that is. You want clear pee, you don't want yellow pee. Yeah, so you know, I think that's possibly sorted us there. So let's now team just collect these guys here. What we're going to do is get our new injector O-rings. Those are going in the bin. We've got fresh injector O-rings in our box here of a million Mercedes pieces. Problem is I've got to find them now. But what we'll do is we'll find them and then we'll go back and start assembling our injectors and cleaning up the rail and reassembling it. And swaggy, if that's even a word. It's a bit late now, I'm starting to lose my speech. What we're going to do quickly is put our new injector seals on, right, and just a little teeny bit of Vaseline on them so they just slot in nicely, and then we're going to wrap it in Glad Wrap and say goodnight. Now I'm just going to try and clean these up as I go. Might be a bit hard because they're not smooth like this is, but we'll give it a go and reassemble them at the same time. Let's go. So team, beautiful summer morning, just about the end of summer, end of February 2023. So we've got the, as we just did, we did the fuel injectors, all nice and ready to go, back in the car, all wrapped up, nice and clean. We've got our valve covers, we're going to pull these off right now. What I've done first though is I've just sucked up a little bit of debris around the injector ports and then blocked them with cloth because we don't want anything dropping in there. I did have a few little teeny bits drop in there, just like the sort of oil residue build up, so I've put a suction tube inside each of them, but obviously you can never fully keep everything out, but you need to do your best because you don't want anything scratching your cylinder walls. So yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to undo on each bank, nice and easy, with the Torx bit, female Torx bit, undo these screws, pull them out, and we're going to tap with a mallet, we're going to tap the head covers, valve covers lightly, and it should just crack them free enough to pull them and lift them out of the car. Right, what are we going to find under this one? Just as badly gunked up and sludgy, or maybe spared. This
side's a little bit harder to get to, teams. It's a bit more jammed against the sidewall of the car. Yep. Look at these guys. Like, these are absolutely filthy, disgusting, like horrific. I can't believe it, to be honest. It's absolutely terrible. So this car's definitely been neglected. You know, like it is a high mileage car. Okay, it's done, you know, 260,000 Ks I think now. So, you know, you're going to expect some varnishing like this, but if you look down here, resting on the exhaust side of the engine, we've got quite a lot more. You know, look at all this build up of just black, like this team is sludge. This is engine sludge, as you will well know. Look at it, it's absolutely horrific. What we'll probably end up doing is giving the car another service, an engine flush. We'll run a full engine flush through it again. I don't know if I think I have engine flushed this car before. I'm pretty sure when I bought it, I need to watch the videos we made for this car when we first got it a few years ago. I need to see if we gave it an engine flush at the time. I think we did. But when did I service this? It was in September. So I serviced it about 5 months ago. And I've given it 2 complete services so far during ownership. But what we might do is do another one sooner rather than later, and just get this thing looking a little nicer, because it is pretty bad. I also feel like the valve covers have maybe never come off before, but thankfully the heads look good, and you know, could be worse. Obviously the car could not be running. The car's running fine, so let's just do the best we can for it and just clean up as much as we can while we're in here, and see how we go. But this is the reason why, you know, people shouldn't own these cars if they can't look after them properly. I don't know if it definitely wasn't the last owner, because the guy I bought it off only had it for like 6 months. But yeah, some people really just shouldn't own these cars. Hands down, you should drive a flipping Corolla that's reliable, that can take abuse. Obviously the M113 can take abuse, there's no doubt about that. Like, this is high mileage, it's been clearly abused, it still drives hard, and you can flip and put your foot down and haul ass, but this is just pretty poor. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll give it a bit of a clean up off camera, and continue to getting it ready to put back together again. Right team, 1 week later, we have our new water pump. Cool. So we're going to pull the old one off now. This old clunky one, take the pulley off. We'll probably have to counterhold the pulley with one of our tools I'll show you in a sec, and then we'll pull that off. But first we'll drain the fluid. Because the radiator is new, we can use the red drain plug at the bottom, so we'll lift the car up and dump it out the bottom. But yeah, we'll remove the water pump pulley with this tool here. We can wrap that around the pulley, and that gives us some leverage so we can counter turn the bolts holding the pulley to the water pump. Let's go. Cool team, so we've got the catchment pan here, and we're going to just gently turn this. As is often said, don't do it when you've got an older radiator, just dump the bottom hose. But because this is a newer radiator, it's only a year or 2 old, it'll be fine. So team, we've drained the radiator out. We've undone that main hose and the other main hose.
we're replacing this hose anyway, because it's all like mangled down the bottom there. Shouldn't be like that. And then we're going to take the front paneling here off so we can replace the shroud with our brand new one. I thought we'd have to actually pull the radiator out to do this, but from what I can tell, with just taking this top panel here off and pulling the shroud for the front cooling fans off, and taking the fans out, we should actually be able to tuck the new one in without pulling the whole radiator out and having to pull all the transmission cooler hoses off and everything, which would be a bloody lifesaver if that was the case. So team, we've taken off the bolts and we've laid them out on this cardboard mock-up here. So now what we're going to do is just gently pry the old water pump off. Now it will be pretty well gunked onto it, so it might require a bit of leverage, but just be very gentle and extremely careful you don't pry on anything that could crack or damage, for example, the head here or the block. So just take your time and patiently, slowly pry it off. I might even give it a bit of a tap with the mallet as well, just to give it a bit of a shock, and then we'll pry it off. Right team, so good progress. This only took me 10 minutes. Now I've done it a few times before, so I'm pretty quick at it. But just taking the paneling off, taking the the fan covers out, the actual fan itself, and the front sort of, I'm not going to say crash bar because the crash bar is down there, but you know, just the paneling on the front of the engine here. So we've basically pulled everything out. We've got the radiator sitting here. This radiator's only a couple of years old, so it's beautiful. Here's our hood opener cable, but rusty, still works fine though. Don't need to worry about that. And we've just had to undo these clips here. So this cooler line here, which I believe is for the power steering system, that can run at the front here, and we can just move it out of the way with removing the little clips that hold it in place. Yeah, so we've got room to install our new cover here, which is nice and brand new and perfect. Now the only one regret I do sort of have, and it's not a major, but this front plastic paneling here, it does have a crack here. The problem is A, I don't know how much a replacement would cost, and B, it's too late now. But that would have just been nice to replace as well, I guess, just so that was mint too. And the only other minor thing that wasn't mint was just this Bank 2 air intake duct. It's pretty much fine apart from just the cracked bit of plastic up the top here.
but it's not too hard to access, so I could buy a new one or look up the part. God knows how much that would cost brand new. Shouldn't be too bad, providing they still manufacture it, but I'm sure they would. That just sits in here. So what we'll do now is we'll install our new cover, and yeah, that's the old one, team. So the old one here versus the new one. So this whole top piece of it's gone. As you can see here, there's nothing left of it. On the new one, we've got some nice top pieces up there. The side parts there, there's just a bit of soft plastic missing around here, which this one has, a brand new one, and around here. See, this one's missing all of that. It's got none of that compared to that one. So that should help us improve the sort of airflow into the car. I'd like to hope so. We're going to just wait for this to dry off a little bit, clean it up. We're just going to sort of work our way around and dig out this seal path where the new water pump seal goes. And then we'll install our new seal with our new, existing bolts, which while we're going through them, I'll probably just wire brush them and clean them up quickly. But you can see they're all different sizes and shapes, so make sure you keep track of what goes where, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. And we've just had to loosen the bottom here of our oil cooler hose clamp that feeds the oil cooler. I forgot about that part. Now, because the oil cooler is not leaking at all, it's in pretty good nick. Wait a minute, or am I wrong? Let's check. Yeah, it's fine, it's dry. It's probably been resealed at some point, but we're not going to worry about that at the moment. It's not leaking or anything, so it's as good as gold. But yeah, so there's no need to pull this piece off. I was going to, but I'm not going to because it's not leaking or anything. So yeah. Now we do need to still get down to our power steering pump here to try and realign it better, so that we can better seat the power steering fluid tank. So I'm going to have to find out how to lock this old school pulley, this old school tensioner, so I can get to this bolt here that's holding the power steering bracket in place. Or am I wrong? No, it might be that one, sorry. This one here. So I might have to just pull this back over here and then wedge something in one of these gaps to keep it from springing back in front of the bolt that I'm trying to play with. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to get this all cleaned up slightly, give it a bit of a tidy up, get in here, give it a little bit of a clean up, and then we're going to slot in our brand new front setup. So team, bit of an update. 4 hours basically so far doing this job. It's been a bit of a mission. So water pump's installed. Now if we grab the water pump, there's no play at all. It's solid as a rock. Perfect. So we've torqued down these 40 newton meters. The E12s are 25 and the little E10s are 10 newton meters. So we just gently torqued it down evenly, and now we have a good seal. We've installed our radiator hoses Make sure you double check that you've done the clamps up properly. This one hasn't been done up yet because I'll pull it off when I do the fan shroud install. And we've got our lower one down there installed. Now, as I said to you earlier, team, see this gap here? There's arrows when you line up the hoses with the radiator. There's arrows so you know where to line the hose up in the exact correct direction, so it's straight with the arrow on the radiator, so that you know that you've got it in the right position. Because obviously I could twist this hose on any position really on this thermostat, for example. So there's a specific angle, but even with that specific angle, we still had the hose barely touching the AC compressor. Now if it touches it enough while you're driving, it'll eat through, just like it has on this old one actually. It'll eat through and destroy the seal, as you can see here, and leave you with a very bad leak, which will leave you stranded, no doubt. So we'll pull these parts off and we'll keep them because they're good spares. We'll keep the hose as well. It's just good backup if we need some radiator hose at some point. But yeah, even if you look at the old water pump, it's flipping disgusting, but it's got a lot of play in it. It's possible, and it's got some like rubbery sort of sound. It's probably the original. I'm keen to... Oh, it is the original, team. Yep, 98. Genuine water pump. So it's done pretty good, that water pump, really. You know, it's 20... How old is it? 25 years old? Yeah, 25 years old and 260,000 Ks. Can't tell me Mercedes aren't reliable and aren't built well. It's a good innings for a bloody water pump. So anyway, yeah, so we've got the new pump installed, we've got the pulley put back on, bolts torqued down, hoses on. Now the steering fluid tank, I don't think I videoed it, but I ended up undoing the pump, so I had the pump slightly loose, and then I pushed the pump onto the snout again, and then I tightened this first, then I tightened the power steering pump bolts, the main big E, whatever size they are, they're the big suckers, they're like that size. But that, not unsurprisingly, didn't work. So it started leaking again. Because the tank ended up actually being slightly kinked one way, so obviously the oil started to go around it and it would start to pull on this down here. So then I've reset it all, pulled this out, pulled the tank off, and there's a little metal dowel that goes in here, and as you can see it's about 1.5 mil thick. So I took this out, not ideal, but I took it out, and it just gives you a little bit more of diameter in the hole to get the screw, the torque screw here, to lock into the oil filter housing. So now it actually is in place. It looks good, it's installed properly, and it's not leaking so far that I can tell. No, it's not leaking, but I'm gonna leave it overnight and see if it is in the morning, because if it is, then maybe I've busted the bloody tank. So like I've got a spare tank as well. Yeah, cool. So team, new V-belt ready to go in. Got a Continental belt here, which is nice. Probably made in China. Doesn't say anywhere, does it? Anyway, so we'll wrap it around here, team, and we'll pull our tensioner back up, and then once we've wrapped it around, then we can put our new poly V-belt on. Sweet, so our V-belt's in, team. Goes over the top like that, over the top of the water pump, around the tensioner, around the crank, then up and over the AC compressor, steering pump, and then over the idler here. Nice and simple on this non-supercharger version.
Cool, so now that's in, we've got our brand new water pump snout ready. So we'll open up the water pump, the cooling fan box, and attach our brand new fan clutch to the fan. You're supposed to store the fan clutch standing up in the box. That's our new one there, cool. Nice and fresh. Here's our blade, which probably didn't need to be replaced, but oh well. Perfect. Yeah, I managed to thread one of the old ones by accident, so I just bought some brand new stainless steel screws with little washers. They're pretty much bang on the same size, so that's good. Right team, so good progress made, thank goodness. We'll have this wrapped up in an hour or so. Heads are back on, our valve covers are back on, and we've tightened these up. I think the workshop information system says 7 Newton meters, I think, 7 or 8 Newton meters roughly. I personally just do them by hand. I just start in the middle, gently tighten them in a zigzag pattern to the front and to the back, and then I go over it again, and then I go over it again, and just sort of feel where it's just a nice bite. You don't want it tight, but you also don't want it loose. You just sort of want it nice, so you can still turn it a bit if you want to. Don't take that advice, guys.
just follow the workshop system. But if you're happy to take a punt, then that's the way I do it, and it works better than when I used to torque it, probably because I was torquing it wrong, or I don't know. It just, whenever I used to torque them down, I'd always have a leak. So I just hand tighten them gently in 2 or 3 stages. So we've put the breathers back in. These are nice and soft. They're not hard plastic like the other ones were. So we've slipped that onto the snout on the throttle body. You saw the throttle body was pretty filthy, so that's great as well. We've given that a good clean. Our emissions pipe that comes from the little ticker over there, what are we going to call it? Purge control valve, I think. That fires it straight into here, so that's cool. We've got our secondary breather going around to the front here. I haven't plugged it in yet because we're going to put the fuel rail in now, and we want to be able to move the harness and this rail around still. So I haven't put the that side on yet. I've only done this side because this doesn't get in the way of the fuel rail. We've got our brake booster pipe here, which I could actually plug in now. We don't want to forget that. Otherwise your brakes are going to be real hard. Yeah, so what we're going to do now, team, is pull our little things out here. I'm actually just going to get a vacuum and just vacuum some of these extra little sprinkly bits out. As you can see, it's not clean, it's not perfect. It's definitely a lot better than it was, but unless I've got the right tools for it, I'm not spending hours trying to bloody dig out every little piece of oil in there. It's already looking a lot better than it used to, so I'm happy with that. Yeah. Anything else, team? Oh, we've also got our big breather pipe that comes off the bottom of the little L bend part where the MAF sensor sits on top and goes into the throttle body. So you can see that's now installed. I attach it first to this unit, then I just put this unit in the back here and then just gently thread it under. You can see there it is, the big pipe, that sucker there. I just gently thread it under this colossus of plugs and cables and stuff, and it just plugs in there like that, nice and easy. So yeah, that's good. That's on perfectly. So yeah, let's put our fuel rail in, team. It's been sitting here for about a week now. So and that's popped through. It's random. Okay. What I'm going to do is just take this wrapping off, and I'm just going to lightly dab the tops again with a bit of Vaseline again, just so they sit in the rail nice. And when we put the rail on, we need to make sure before we put any force on anything that all 8 injectors are in the correct ports. Then we'll just gently, evenly push down until they're seated before we screw the retainers in on the rail. Let's go. We're finally ready to pretty much start this sucker. Exciting, it feels like it's been ages. So we've got our harnesses back plugged in. Yeah, I don't think I've missed anything. Everything's plugged in, fuel rails tightened down, coils are in and tightened down, plugged in. We've zip tied some of the harnesses to the fuel rail. We've installed our MAF sensor with a new bracket. Well, not a new one, but one I found off a wrecking 210 The little brackets have little clips that hold them in place, hold the MAF in place, and that the little tooth breaks so the bracket doesn't really work anymore. So we've installed a brand new to us one on it. So that's now nice and steady in place. We've put our MAF connector on. We've put the breather hose into the bracket. Fuel line is attached. Our breather hose is on. It's not the best fit. It's fine. It's just not the best fit, but it won't do any harm. So now what we're going to do, team, is we're going to plug the battery back in, and we're going to just start by rotating the steering wheel back and forth a few times to get the fluid in the reservoir here moving around before we start the car. And I'm going to top it up a little bit more. So we've got a nice brand new tank in there. We've also got to fill it up with coolant. There's no coolant in it at the moment, so let's do that now. And we'll bleed the pressure out of the system so that we can actually start her up and drive her out of the garage, because I want to clean this up and swap the 221 over here because I've got a few little things to do on it. And also I want to put my 211 back in the garage, and this can be the daily for this week coming up. Now, just a reminder, team, for coolant, we want to use green 326.0 approved coolant, which the stuff here is from Penrite, which is an Australian brand. So obviously you probably won't have it if you're in the States or Europe, but MB approval 326.0, so that's good. And for the power steering fluid, we want to use 236.4, is it? No, 236.3, sorry. So that's power steering fluid. It's like a yellowy red color. We want to use this. We don't want to use 345.0. That's the newer fluid. That's for the ABC system on the 221, and also for like the 211 and newer cars, they run on 345.0, which is Pentison CHF11S. But these older cars, or this one specifically, still runs on 236.3, which is a different fluid. I think you can run 345 in these. I don't think it's an issue. I think it's actually sort of a nicer fluid for it. But for this old girl, we're just going to stick to what's specified from the factory, and just use our 236.3. It's like a yellowy gold color. So we just want to not fill it up to the top. Well, it's close to it. We just want to do it like that, team, and then we want to basically turn the steering wheel left to right a bunch of times, check it, top it up, left to right a bunch of times. Then we can start the car, let it idle for a minute, is what I remember reading, and then you can start turning it left to right with the motor running to circulate. So let's get the coolant filled up and get her started. Right, team, so we're going to start her up now. I think I've got everything. It's always a bit nerve-wracking, but everything's done up. Hoses are all done up. Clamps are done up. Belts are on correctly. Yeah, there's nothing I can see untoward that's going to happen. That's good. Oil level's good. It's just got to build up a little bit of fuel pressure first before it kicks off. So it might just take a few seconds to crank and actually start running, but we'll give it a run, and then we'll just let it run for a little bit, and then we'll top up the coolant as well. We'll turn the AC on to hot and blow it on full steam. And we've got no battery, which is great. I've been working on the car obviously with the battery plugged in a little bit. The lights don't seem to turn off on these 210s automatically, so we'll plug the charger in and we'll come back shortly. Take 2, team. So team, a brief look under the car, everything looks pretty good. We've just tightened up a few hoses here. Just the clamp up there was a little bit loose, so we had a little bit of coolant dripping. Oh, I missed that one. And pretty much that's it. Lower hose is on there. It's tight, good. Our new AC dryer's up there installed, good. Our steering rack looks dry here where we replaced the seals. There was a little bit of a drip here before, so hopefully this adjuster here isn't leaking. But regardless, it looks like we've fixed the primary leak on it, so that's good as well. There's a bit of oil burn off on the manifolds from when they sit with the heads off, or the covers off. Oil starts to spill down onto the exhaust manifolds, so that's burnt off now and it's pretty clean, so that's good. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is wrap up this job, team, by putting in our brand new covers and putting it down on the floor and giving her a drive for a few days. So let's get that sorted and see how she looks. It's a wrap. She's all put back together, looking good. Everything's in place, nothing's leaking. We'll just tighten up that. That was the one last thing I forgot about. Tighten that up. Refill our tank with fresh water and detergent, and she's all done. I've got brand new trays under the engine, so hopefully she sounds a little bit quieter now as well. Yeah, good. Headlights. Perfect. Good to go. So team, that's a wrap. Bit of a big job in the end. Everything's all done though. She's put back together. She's running pretty well. I'm going to put her away and tomorrow morning go for my first actual drive in her. So we'll see how she runs. But so far so good. A little bit of oil burn off on the exhaust manifolds, which is normal, but we'll just monitor it, make sure nothing's leaking from the valve covers, but they seem to be improving, so that's good. Yeah, everything's looking good. I got a new shifter as well, I might have mentioned it, so all the lights on this new one work, which is nice. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that, team. So just in summary, we did the boot, we did the water pump, we did the power steering pump. We had to obviously juggle it around a bit. We put new under trays on the engine, which was exciting. Crikey, what else have we done? The steering rack seals, the fan clutch, the fan blade, the upper radiator hose. We've done quite a lot on the sucker. Valve covers, obviously, don't want to forget that. Breather system. So all up, it was probably about a 2.5 week job, probably in terms of labor hours, including a lot of cleaning time. I probably still spent a good, probably 25 hours on this project. So it's not for the faint hearted, obviously, but it's worked out well, and patience is key with these sorts of jobs, because these can be quite tricky to do. But if you just be patient and roll with the punches, you'll get there eventually. So anyway, team, hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't checked out the original videos, I want to actually go watch them myself. Check out what this car was back, when I first got it nearly 2 years ago, about 1.5 years ago, and you'll see what it's come to now. And just on the cards team, a new steering wheel I hopefully will be on the way in the next month or so. So we'll do a video on that when I get a nice new steering wheel to put in here, and then she'll be pretty tidy as well. I've got some new lights up in here. The factory specific ones are 21 watt, I think. They flip and light this thing up like a bedroom. It's good. You could obviously, you know, you can get dimmer ones, and there were dimmer ones in here, but at the end of the day, why would you? Yeah, this works out well actually like this. I like these quite bright lights, and I personally just like standard halogen. I don't like the white LED lights. They're too like bright, and you know, at night time you don't want to be looking at real bright LEDs. So anyway, fade into the darkness team. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you next time.